You've had the unusual honor of a Library of America edition. So, in fact, on my knee, the jacket, your entire work so far, from Goodbye Columbus in 1960, right up to Everyman, published this year, but that edition is expected to come out in 2013. It's an honor, it's an invitation to look back. How do you reflect looking back at your work in this way?
I haven't reread the books they published. One, I didn't want to take the time. Two, I didn't want to find out what I might find out. I'm just delighted, of course. And what's odd is remembering the time when I wrote the book and the condition of my life and the business of writing it and the doubts and so on. And then some, I don't know, 40 years later or whatever, seeing it in this gilded edition is strange, and as I say, it's wonderful.
3.5 decades after he became America's most notorious novelist with the masturbation comedy Portnoy's Complaint, Philip Roth is now widely acknowledged as the country's leading fiction writer. Since 1997, he's written a sequence of award-winning and best-selling novels, including American Pastoral, The Human Stain, and The Plot Against America, which depict the USA's political and psychological journey from the 20th to the 21st century. His novels say more about America than most presidential State of the Union speeches. Roth's latest novel, Everyman, charts the life and death of an average middle-class American, an ad man with artistic ambitions, who is identified only as he. But unusually for a novel, the story of he told almost entirely through illnesses, operations, and funerals.
This is a book about illness, and the idea that came to me early on was to construct the narrative line would follow the history of man's illnesses. Therefore, the moments when he's well and healthy, I pass over in a paragraph. I think I say 22 years passed and he felt great, and I'm not interested in that. But I did know about these illnesses, and I always feel that if you know something well, you should mind that.
Every man is offered a series of consolations, some of which are good deeds and cousin and confession and so on. In a less direct way, the consolations are knocked down one by one. For some people, a consolation against death is children, grandchildren. For others, it's God. For others, it's art. Each of them is knocked down for he. For others, it's sex. All of them are knocked down.
I didn't think of that. I guess there's no way of writing about a life without all those things that you call consolations entering into it. But I didn't seek any parallel. Any parallels are inadvertent and a result of my stupidity, really.
Religion is absolutely not a consolation for he. He, as I say, is not he, but I think that is true of you, isn't it?
Well, I'm deeply secular, yes. But I deliberately wanted to make this character a man who is simply out of touch with any notions of divinity, afterlife, and with a distaste for religion, which I say he has. Virtually everybody I know lives without religion. And it seems to me that this is a deeply, deeply secular country, I think. I'll anticipate your question. Despite the propaganda, the religious propaganda, which is, I don't know, it's everywhere. It isn't the way people live their lives. I think there's a group of people who have had tremendous influence in this government, but they certainly didn't have any influence on the previous governments. And if you remember when John Kennedy ran for president, he went on television and said, "I will not take orders from the Vatican. I reserve my religion for my private life and for my participation in Sunday Mass." I think it's still true that the country is not pious and self-righteous about its religion. I think it's been exploited by the right to organize a base for the Republican Party. I find it heinous, but who doesn't? But I think it's a deeply secular country, and I think the madness will cease soon.
That will, as you anticipate, surprise a lot of people in Europe, where the analysis has been that George W. Bush was elected twice on the back of what is called the Christian vote, or the Christian fundamentalist vote.
He was elected once on the basis of fraudulent tabulation of votes in Florida, which he lost. he lost the first election to Al Gore, so he was not elected president. It was a kind of electoral coup d'etat. And the second time, he was elected on the back of a fear, which the country has had inculcated in it by the Republican Party. Roosevelt ran in 1932, in the midst of the worst of the Depression, and when he was elected on a landslide over the Republican Hoover, who Bush resembles greatly in denying reality. His inaugural speech is remembered for one line: "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." This administration will be remembered for inculcating